Right, so we're going to be talking about this topic, Industry 4.0. But before we begin, I would like to ask you. Let me see how many of you are there and can follow me. Can you please go to this website that we can see here? It's menti.com, www.menti.com, and use that code to access this interactive session, please. And the question is very simple. Before today, how many of you had heard the term Industry 4.0? I mean, it's something that has been out there, but I don't know how many of you are familiar with it. So please do log in into menti.com. Thank you very much. We have someone there. Okay, thank you. We have another 3 persons, yeah, already. Thank you. Okay. We have 5, okay. Thank you very much. You know, Industry 4.0 is something that is out there, and many of the things that both Joseph and Michael have shared with us have got to do a lot with Industry 4.0. And as we can see from the people that have interacted thus far with us, they're shaking the head very, very confused. We have that Borat guy that has never heard of Industry 4.0, and very little Deadpools have heard of it, you know. So, okay, I will move on to the next question. All right. Let's see. Okay, the next, thank you very much to those that have participated. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next question. I have to ask though, how many of you have ever used one of these? I have seen them around here in Riga since I got here. But my question is, how many of you have used one of these? Very cool little things, those scooters. And, you know, I can see that some of you have already used them. That's very cool. But, you know, actually, these things are a perfect example. I mean, this thing that we're doing now, it's an example of what Industry 4.0 is allowing us to do. Thank you. So I can see that a number of you have used some of these, but you know, as I was saying, these things are a perfect example of what Industry 4.0 can do. And one of the technologies that is demonstrated here is something that is called Internet of Things, where you get your mobile and you can locate where the thing is, but it not only shows you where the scooter is, but it can also unblock it. The scooter itself sends data of where it is, where are you going around, so it can, you know, either allow you to go any further, or if you are going, you know, probably out of the area where you're permitted, it might even shut it down. And that's all thank you to the technologies related to Industry 4.0. But how did we get here? And that's the big question. How on earth we managed to get all the way to where we are right now? Well, there was something before Industry 4.0, of course, and there is the 4th Industrial Revolution, which is what it's there and where the Industry 4.0 term began. So let's talk about, well, if we're in the 4th Industrial Revolution, that means that there were 3 before this one. The first one happened in 1780, and we can tell that it is about the mechanization of work. You know, people started to do things differently in the textile industry. And also this guy started to perfection the steam engine. And that's how a lot of things started to happen. Many things started to change in the world. Jobs were different from one moment to another. Well, not that drastically, but things started to change. Then we went to the 2nd Industrial Revolution, which happened roughly around 100 years after the first one. So it was like a long period of time where nothing changed really, just minor things. But then after 100 years, we had the 2nd Industrial Revolution. This happened because, well, you know, we moved into using steel. We started to produce and transmit electric energy. And someone decided that we should all eat pork. But actually, that's not true. A guy called Henry Ford was visiting one of these meat products, these butchers, and he realized that everyone was doing something specifically in a line. So he decided to bring this idea to the production line, and that's how the massification of production really began. So this is something that happened on the second industrial revolution, and it's pretty much shaped the way we understand production, the way we pretty much understand manufacturing, and the way pretty much everything has evolved ever since. Modern cities have evolved because of this model of business, and so on. But then there was a third industrial revolution, again, around 100 years later, around 1970. This third industrial revolution happened because of computers. That you see there is actually a computer. What that lady is putting in there is what could have been a USB drive. And then also, back then, the robots started to develop. Not this kind of robots that we can see here, but these ones. The other ones were just for science fiction, but this is the first industrial robot that was ever designed and later on installed in a factory. And this, once again, came to change the way we understand manufacturing, the way we understand producing something in a very precise way in large quantities. But then we came here to today, to the fourth industrial revolution. But what is all this about the industrial revolution? Well, actually, the term started being used in 2011 in Germany. And it is said that is the evolution of all the other technologies that we have seen: artificial intelligence, computer sciences, robotics, and so on. So it is a collection of different technologies. The first one is virtual reality, where we actually can pretty much have an idea of how things are, in a complex environment, without ever even build, a single brick, and without laying a single brick, or without, actually building anything, but we can have a very good idea of how things are in a virtual world. And this kind of technology is being also used in many other things, like in medicine. Nowadays, we can have surgeons practicing on virtual models with these virtual lenses, and they can practice for hours a surgery before they actually make them. And, for them to perform the surgery completely and totally successful. And well, there is the other technologies. The other technology that we can see here has got to do with additive manufacturing. For years, the way we understood manufacturing had to do with removing material from, a piece in order for us, to get to a final product. And that was the way everything was doing. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with 3D printing. And now we can 3D print pretty much whatever we can imagine, whether it is something that we do from dust, as we can see here, or we can do it from plastic, or we can do it from metal. But actually, something that is really amazing is this that we're going to see now. People in the UK, people in Israel, and pretty much in many, many countries are using this technology, additive manufacturing, to produce something that tomorrow is going to be there for us to use. But when I mean there for us to use, is like what we are seeing here. The one on the top left corner, it's they are printing a cornea, for those of us who will use some of these and, might wish to get it replaced for something else. And well, right now, the only way that we might get a cornea is if there is a donor. As you can imagine, there are not enough donors of corneas or any other part of the body to be used by somebody else. So now we can print them. The guy that is up here, these two guys from Israel, they are actually printing hearts for the first time. And they managed to print a fully functional heart from the stem cells of a patient. So in the future, as we can see here, we will be able to print pretty much any other organ that we might need replaced in our own bodies. So what do you think about that? It's pretty cool, isn't it? So let's go back to the presentation, the main presentation. The other technology associated with the fourth industrial revolution is the Internet of Things. We saw a brief example of what that means with the scooters, with the Bolt scooters. The other technology that is associated with the fourth industrial revolution is big data. As Joseph was saying earlier on, whenever we interact with something, we're leaving a digital print. that digital print, that digital footprint is providing data that is being processed by someone to understand better how a process or a manufacturing process or just how people like to interact with things can be precisely mapped and actually produce something that nowadays is called digital twins. Digital twins are mathematical models, computer models, digital models of something that is happening. So this is the Internet of Things, big data, pardon. And then we have cloud computing. What we did, a few minutes ago, it's just a very simple example of cloud computing at a very low level. However, it's cloud computing, because what we use is you logged in with your device into somebody else's computer that is not hosted, well, it's probably hosted somewhere, but for our understanding, we logged right now into the cloud. And then what we started to do over there was just send some data, and over there in the cloud, there was a calculation that allowed us to see how those bars, increased whenever you answer yes or no. So that's, a very, very good example of cloud computing, as I said, in a very low level of interaction. The other technology associated with the fourth industrial revolution is advanced simulations. We have come to a point in which we can understand how things work in the world, in the physical world, by modeling precisely how those things behave. And we can actually model something to stop doing this that we're seeing in the screen, destroying things. But instead of that, we can destroy the digital versions. We can actually simulate how something is going to respond to a crash, for example, or we can simulate the weather, or we can simulate how things will move if we have precisely modeled. Well, the weather today will be very difficult to model because I can see out there that it's snowing right now. But anyway, that's another thing, but that can be achieved with advanced simulation. And then we have something that Michael was showing us, which has got to do with autonomous and collaborative robots. The robots that I showed you earlier on, back in the third industrial revolution, were really massive, bulky, but they were also very dangerous. If someone were to get inside where a robot was, performing its process, its work, it is most likely that that robot would have hit somebody and that person would have been seriously injured. Now we're moving towards something that is collaborative robots, where we can interact with robots. We can be there as partners of, robots being partners of us, and actually collaborating to achieving a specific goal. And that's something that has got to do with the fourth industrial revolution as well. And then we have universal integration. Data is there, internet is there, but we need to be able to communicate everything in a very precise, transparent, and efficient manner. This requires lots of artificial intelligence. This requires lots of computer data. This requires a lot of synchronization for us to know what's happening, because the end goal is for us to basically personalize how a product is being built, as we can see here in the presentation. And lastly, but not less important, is what we're going to see now. Since everything is connected, well, there is people who try to take advantage of it. We're leaving many, many doors open, if you want to call it like that, many digital doors open, in which people who might want to get access, they can actually break in. So the specialty to take care of that is cybersecurity. I was reading yesterday or the day before that someone actually hacked into a casino using the Internet of Things of a sensor that was located in a fish tank. So that person was able to access all the database of the people who were, playing at the casino. That person got a lot of data because he was able to hack into the internet that was provided by a sensor that was located in a fish tank. So that is very, very, very crazy. I hope that you're following me all, up to here. But you know, since we have to do it very quickly, I'm just going to conclude with some things. Let me find. Here we are. So let's summarize what we have seen very quickly today. So we have three industrial revolutions that preceded the fourth industrial revolution. We can see them here in icons. Industry 1.0, Industry 2.0, Industry 3.0. But what actually meant for the way we understand the world? Well, basically, these three industrial revolutions were dedicated to massify the production. That is, to produce something in very large volumes. This, of course, had the impact because we increased the productivity. We managed to lower the cost, making things more, cheaper for someone to buy them. We also got better paid jobs because, you know, every time that the technology has advanced, people who are actually capable of doing those jobs have had to be, go to university. Therefore, you know, they get better paid jobs. But on the other hand, we also have some problems like handling huge product stocks, like a lot of things that have to be stored somewhere because we were massively producing them. Then, you know, we get to sell the things that we didn't sell in season. So probably a lot of you have come across that suddenly something that costs, I don't know, 100 euros, you can find it in a very good sale because it's being sold at 10 euros. Well, that's because someone produced a lot of it in the beginning. Then it got stored for a long time. That meant lots of costs for somebody. So since we want to get rid of it, we try to sell it at the best, at cost price. So for it to be gone. But if we don't sell them, we first have to convince customers that whatever someone produced, it's good for them. And whatever doesn't get sold, well, it goes to waste. So this is not a very efficient way to produce things, really. But what are we doing now with Industry 4.0? With Industry 4.0, what we're trying to achieve, or what it's been trying to achieve, is the massification of the personalization of products and services. This is that if you're going to buy something, that something has to be done for you, not for your neighbor, not for your mom, not for your dad, not for your brother, not for your sister, not for your uncle, but for you, because you can access the system and you can tell, okay, you know what, I would like my car to have these characteristics, or I would like my shirt or my shoes or something to have this color, these characteristics that might make them unique. And here in Latvia, we actually have a couple of companies that are doing very well in the world in this area. They are called pretty similar. One is Printify, and the other one is Printful, and they actually are enabling business for people that actually might get a product that has a print in, whether it's a T-shirt, whether it's a cup, whether it's whatever other product, and they actually send something to get print in a factory that is not even here. If someone from Germany wants to get a design that someone from Japan made and it's there, they get it printed in Germany and they get it delivered to the person in Germany in a couple of days. So it is something amazing. What is the end goal of this? Well, to increase satisfaction of the client, to employ all data of our digital footprint, to massively personalize the products and services, using something that is called smart manufacturing, having the chance to lower the cost by the optimization of the whole product cycle. And it's pretty much what Industry 4.0 is in a nutshell, very quickly. But of course, I mean, if you are interested in engineering, if you're interested in marketing, if you're interested in many things, or whatever is it that you might be doing tomorrow, chances are that whatever you do is going to be impacted by any of these technologies. So that's it. I think that'll be the end of my participation right now.